Hi, welcome back to another video. So I thought it would be time for me to do another twin flame reading. And so I've already pulled some cards here. We have the masculine on the right hand side and the feminine on the left. And then we have the cards that are uniting them in the middle. And so this level is talking about the heart chakra, the root chakra, and the higher guidance. And it's a little bit funny, the masculine is on the right. And this is really, the traditional placement of the masculine energy. It's always on the right, and it tells us something about the way that we have been subconsciously taught to hold the masculine and the feminine energies within. The masculine is the right path. So the masculine symbolizes everything that is normal, everything that we're used to, everything that is, our day-to-day, everything that we have been taught. It is the light, what we can see, what we know of, what we understand, the things that are not scary to us. And it also represents all of the things that we are good at, the ways in which we feel valuable in society, the way in which we can spread our light and, boost ourselves a little bit. It talks about that confidence. And this is really the role of our ego, actually, in our psyche. We hear a lot of negative things about the ego, but the ego is the part of us that keeps us stable. The ego is that little spark of consciousness, the little spark of the things that we actually know, the things that actually helps us to feel as if we have control, in our day-to-day. And the reason why I'm mentioning all of these things is because, in the twin flame community, we have talked about the masculine and the feminine for a long time, but we haven't, I feel, really understood ourselves. We haven't really understood the differences between the masculine and the feminine energy and how challenging it is to really face our feminine. Because the feminine energy, when we see that the masculine is the right, then the feminine is everything that is left. Everything that we do not understand, the things that we do not have control over, the things that make us feel powerless, weak, small, like we are not capable. The feminine is talking also about the womb space, it is something that is hidden, things that are too immature yet to be seen by the public, to be out in the light. And so our feminine energy, in the culture that we've been in, we have treated our feminine energy like a trash can. And this is quite painful. It's, all of the things that we did not like, that we could not explain, we put into our feminine. And the feminine and the masculine energies have been in separation, meaning that the masculine, our ego, the masculine energies in our society is turned away from the feminine and say, no, that's just what's left. It's the dark stuff. The things we don't understand. It's not valuable. And so that is our historical background right now. That is, the heritage, or I guess you can say that. I think you understand what I mean. The heritage that we were born into right now. We're coming out of that. And so when we talk about the twin flame journey, our feminine is all of the things within us that destabilizes us. When we are thrusted onto the twin flame journey, we begin this tantric experience of being called to balance these two energies within us, to be as much feminine as we are masculine, to hold space for both. And so this is deeply challenging. And the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is that when I tune into the Twin Flame Collective, what I pick up on is that there are actually relatively few people in that collective that are actually very tuned into their feminine, that are actually anchored in their feminine energies at this point in time. Most people are still in their masculine. They are still in their light. And you also see that maybe this seems confusing because some of the public narrative is still that the light is the right. It's still that the masculine is the right, and we don't understand the feminine. We might use it as a label when it suits us, but we don't really understand it. And so there is really no shame in this. This is not wrong at all. Actually, it's the way it needs to be because, like I said, the feminine is destabilizing to the structure of our lives. It's destabilizing to our societies. Because when we have been treating an energy or a part of us, a collective part of our consciousness, for a trash can for so long, when we tune into it, it's full of trash. It's full of things that we need to transmute. It's full of pain. It's full of, aspects of ourselves that we need to witness and help into the higher realms. And so when we're faced with our feminine within ourselves, or, the feminine imprint of a twin flame, when we're faced with our feminine twin flame, it hurts at first. It's challenging. It is something that we want to run from because it is so difficult to deal with and to know how to handle it, and it makes us feel so small. And so it's quite interesting, this kind of push and pull right now between the right and the left. And if you follow American politics or politics in any other country, this is also interesting, right? That you see this push and pull between the right and the left. And it's also important to notice that the left right now is going through the feminine, is going through an intense purging. Like I said, it's a lot of trash that's coming to the surface. It's a lot of things that have not been properly understood that is coming to the surface through the purging of the left. And so these two parts are not really oppositions, they are not really, it's not really a dichotomy right now, because we're moving into a time of union, of learning how to come together and collaborate right here in the heart. And so, the twin flames, what we're going through energetically, it's much bigger than our relationship or than our own internal psyche. So in this reading, I will try to cater a little bit to that, the small scale, but also the large scale. And I will talk to both people that are really committed to the twin flame journey, and committed to working with another, committed to working both to ascend themselves within themselves, but also to bring in this relationship with another. And I will also talk to the people that are focusing mainly on themselves and not worrying so much about that other. So let's begin by looking at the heart space of the masculine. We have here a very funny card, in my opinion. This is the Cecchioli deck, and it's a very kind of, it's a deck that I find reflects the astral level of consciousness quite well. And so here we have a snail, which I feel is the masculine. This is our masculine energies. You know, they have been, and this is also very like fitting symbol of the ego in and of itself. You know, the ego has this ability to completely kind of shut off whatever it is that destabilizes it. You know, like I said, that is the meaning of the ego. It's meant to create some kind of structure in this world of chaos. And so with the house, I see that the masculine, you know, for a long period of time, it feels like the masculine has been in and out of his house, the snail house. But now he's in a period of time where he's actually feeling much more comfortable to open up to the feminine. And the way that I feel that is opening up is actually through his body, in a sense. You know, he comes through as a snail, and the feeling that I get with this snail is actually, you know, it's a very sensual energy. It comes through the body, it's slow moving, it's, you know, it uses its senses to find its way forward, and it's also almost like it's driven or guided by these deeper sensual emotions, like a drive, a deep drive within us is pulling the masculine out of his shell. And I think that in the past, the masculine was fearing this pull. He was fearing this sensual feeling, because that is part of the masculine shadow that we have, you know, that we fear this dark feminine having control of us. You know, we fear the feminine. The feminines that we might have interacted with in the past might not have been purified. You know, they were still in this energy of not being pure, of not being transcendent, because, yeah, like I said, we you know, we didn't really take very good care of our feminine energy as a collective in the past. And so the masculine's experiences with the feminine energy is that, you know, she's gonna trap me, or she's gonna use this sensual feeling. You know, it's the classical honey trap. You know, it's like, it seems sweet, it seems good, but it's probably gonna lead to something, and I'll be stuck, you know, I'll be trapped there. And so I feel that he did have this fear in the past, but now it's like he's beginning to surrender to that pull, and is coming out of his shell, and is willing to, through his heart, remember, because this is happening in the heart chakra, he's willing to begin to explore. And so this actually is a huge step up, is what I'm feeling for our collective masculine energy. It is showing that the masculine energy within our collectives are actually opening up to the heart chakra. You know, they're beginning to explore through the lower levels of the astral. You know, they're beginning to use this kind of subconscious, imaginatory part of our psyche to travel across time and space. So this is what I see the masculine doing here. And the feminine comes through as a girl. You know, she's a little girl, and it feels like she can see him very clearly. You know, if you're in your feminine energy, you know that your masculine is slowly making his way towards you. And you see it, you're okay with it, you know. It's just like, hi, I've been waiting for you. You know, I can see that she's holding her hand up to like show him that, you know, I'm not gonna like pull onto you too hard. It's like, it's safe, you can come. And so I feel that this is like a beautiful step up actually for our masculine energies. And then in the root chakra, how this kind of manifests into the physical, we have a little bit of a different image here. We see that the masculine is still kind of asleep, you know, he's not, and this just means that, you know, in the day to day, he's not necessarily in his heart yet, you know, he's not necessarily able to travel through time and space, because of course this requires a lot of practice, a lot of dedication, and a lot of investment into that part of ourselves. And so he's still kind of being held here by the feminine. And the feeling that I'm getting from the feminine is just like, you know, it's okay, don't worry, you know, take your time. It feels like she's very comfortable with just letting nature unfold at this point in time, because she is the people, you know, that have been in their feminine energies. It really feels like they have been through a lot emotionally. They have gone through so much purging and clearing and transmuting and facing fears and all of that. And so right now it feels like they have reached a space within their journey where they're just like, oh, you know, I can finally breathe, I can finally get some air. I've learned how to breathe underwater now. You know, I've become a sea creature. And so all of this water, all of these emotions, you know, I thrive in it now. That's what it feels like. And so the feminine energy is coming through as, on this picture, I guess it's a jellyfish, but I really see her as an octopus. And this is kind of an image I get when I tune into the energy of people that have done a lot of psychic work. You know, a lot of the times they come through as an 8-legged creature, and particularly like octopuses are quite common. So I see the feminine as this octopus, and she's just comfortable now in this new skin that she has acquired. And another thing that's interesting here with these two cards for the masculine is that you see that, you know, there's sleep, the bed, and it's also he's asleep. And so I feel that it is in those quiet moments, you know, when he's by himself, when he's resting, that he connects to his heart, that it tunes into his heart, and he can feel the feminine energy, and he's not so scared of it anymore. And part of that is because the feminine, you know, like I said, she's done a lot of transmutation work. Her energy used to be a lot denser because, you know, there was a lot of things that needed to be cleared, but now it's becoming lighter. And so when the masculine tunes into her, it feels good to him, you know. It's like she feels lighter than him, and so it's something that feels nourishing, is what I'm getting to the masculine. And so this is the case also for those that are not really doing this tantric work, or this balancing of the feminine and masculine with another person, with another individual. It's also the same, because now we have had a number of individuals working with our collective feminine energies, working with kind of opening them up and creating a greater flow within the feminine again. And so when we tune in to the feminine, collectively speaking, when we try to tune into our psychic gifts, or tune into the kind of the feeling of the earth, or whatever it is, it's lighter. It's actually lighter. You know, we've had kind of a year that has given the feminine a bit more space to breathe, to just be. Nature has had a little bit of a break from all of the action and production and travel and, you know, all of the masculine activities. And you can really feel that when we tune into the collective feminine. She's lighter, she's more ascended. And so it's easier now for us to actually begin to tap into our feminine and to enter into our feminine, it's easier for us to begin to integrate our gifts now. This is really the blessing of waking up a bit later as well, because it becomes easier and easier for the people that come in. And this is very good, because that's what allows us to keep the stability of the current society. We want to keep that stability until we have created something new, a new structure, a new world that can actually receive the people without them being completely darkened by all of the pain that used to be inside of the feminine. And so it's really like a beautiful unfolding that is going on right now, and it feels like it's speeding up. Now it's becoming easier, it's becoming lighter. More and more people are starting to find an interest in moving towards their feminine, their inner feminine. And so let's look at the heart space of the feminine. You can see that she's up here actually in her tower. And that is what I spoke about a little bit about already with the feminine. If you've been in your feminine energies a lot over the past years, I really feel for you, because it hasn't been easy for the feminine energies. They have felt, I think, very isolated. Because it's like this, like I said, the feminine is all of the things that are not right. And people haven't really had the consciousness, they haven't had the time, they haven't had the space, they haven't had the heart, the understanding to actually be willing to see that perspective. The feminine didn't fit in to society, it didn't fit into the narrative, the norm, the trend. At that time, it might have been used as a label, but it wasn't really understood. We didn't, our collective masculine wasn't able to go deep enough at that time. And so for those of you that have been in this energy of, being stuck in this tower, it has been challenging. But now you are really starting to bear the fruits of that labor that you've gone through. Now you're really starting to feel so much better, is what I'm getting. It's like you've learned how to accept the lower vibrations that exists within the feminine. It's almost like you're able to feel that, you're able to feel the pain, but because you accept it, you're not just the pain anymore. You're also the acceptance. You're not just the fear anymore. You're also the acceptance. And so you're becoming a bigger energy. And that is also what you see in this card. You see that the feminine is bigger than the masculine down here. The masculine is still down here fighting this lizard. This demon, this part of our body that actually is called the lizard brain, the amygdala. It regulates the fight and the flight within our body. And so the masculine is down here learning how to overcome his fears, how to accept his fears, how to become bigger than this lizard within him. And the feminine sees that, and she has a lot of compassion for that, because she's gone through that path herself. And that is also why I feel that she's not in a hurry anymore, the feminine. She's really beginning to tune into her abundance and to tune into her acceptance. Her heart is opening, and she's not afraid to let the light in anymore. She's not afraid of the pain that comes with the heartbreak. She's welcoming it because she knows that it's just a deeper awakening into something new. And so there's a very kind of like peaceful energy coming through from the feminine. And I see that she's also, very looking deeper into everything. You know, she's looking deeper into our reality, the construction of our societies, you know, everything around us, and she's seeing truth more. She's piercing through the narrative, through what she has been taught, and she's really tuning in, using her psychic gifts to tune in and to see truth. And so that's really, I love it. It's really beautiful for the feminine. It's also 11 card here. So she is kind of in this very she's learning about her mastery, is what I'm feeling here, in her ivory tower. And if you look at how this state manifests, we get another really, really beautiful card for the feminine. Really, really nice, nurturing type of energy. What you see here is kind of like a girl or a woman feeding this little, I want to say that it's a moose, with something sweet. And so with this, I'm picking up a number of different things. First off, you know, the feminine is really connecting to her own inner child, is what I'm getting. She's understanding that it is kind of the health of her inner child that determines, in a way, how we give to the world. You know, when our inner child is very healthy, very ascended, very secure, very safe, it is extremely, you know, it's like a genius, because it's willing to try a lot of new things. It's also just so innocent, you know, it just shares openly of the things that inspires it, and it becomes this very high vibrational part of our psyche. When our inner child is unhealthy, you know, we become very introverted, kind of dark in a sense, because we don't have the security within ourselves to actually express our genius. You know, it's been muted. And so I feel that feminine twin flames, or within our feminine energies, we are doing this inner child work on ourselves. But it's like we're also helping others. We're also doing it with others. You know, we're also giving this sweetness to others, because, you know, with this card, again, it's understanding that we're getting from being in this position of seeing the structures of our psyche, the structures of our society. What we gain through that is understanding and compassion. And we see that it's not easy. You know, people are struggling. And so this understanding is what really helps us to become abundant, in the sense that we're more willing to give unconditionally. You know, we're more willing to be sweet, you know, to be just like, let me just, you know, maybe we don't agree, you know, maybe I think that you're ignorant or whatever, but I see that you have more potential than what you are currently able to live out. You know, we all do. That's what life is. Another potential just waiting to unfold. And so with that understanding, the feminine is able to be sweet and to be nourishing and to hold space for immaturity within herself and also within others. But of course, it's important to say that this comes from being in this ivory tower. You know, she is separate. The feminine is separate from the rest of the world. She's protected. And so it really feels like a prerequisite for moving into this unconditionality, you know, unconditional love, unconditional giving. You need to be protected. You need to have a space of your own. You need to be able to separate from other energies. If not, that unconditionality can quickly become very toxic, is what I'm picking up on. And this state of the feminine is actually interacting really beautifully with the higher guidance of the masculine. So this is how the feminine is manifesting herself in the 3D right now. You know, she's in this energy of learning how to be unconditional, you know, how to unconditionally love, how to unconditionally serve, unconditionally give, because she has this energetic abundance. And so if you look at the masculine higher guidance, we get this card, and it comes out in reverse, but I'm going to show it to you upright so you can see. And it is actually the same moose, but here it's in its grown state. But because it comes out in reverse, it's kind of saying like the masculine doesn't really have the backbone yet to carry his feminine fully. You know, he's not yet matured. He's not fully grown. He's not big enough yet in his energy to be able to carry the feminine. She's still kind of like much bigger than him. And like I said in the beginning, this is always going to be the case. You know, the feminine energy, our collective feminine, is always going to be bigger than us. There's always more things that we don't know. This is our potential. This is our potential for growth. So this really doesn't stop. But what I feel is coming through is the acceptance of it and understanding of it from our masculine perspective. You know, accepting that we will never be able to be in full control. You know, we will never be able to be fully awakened. That is not life. You know, that is not the life that we're living right now, is what is coming through here. And so it's just, you know, accept that and receive the gifts that are coming from the feminine. You know, receive the sweetness, receive this fifth dimensional treats that we are getting right now from our feminine, you know, as she's beginning to rise. Like I said in the beginning, it's much easier now to begin to integrate gifts and other really cool things if you tune into our feminine, if you tune into the present moment. You know, that's the gift, the present. So that's how we awaken our gifts right now. There's a lot of abundance there, but it is not material. You know, the feminine is not about material abundance. That's not where she's coming from. She is pre-material abundance. You know, she's the womb right now. She's learning us how to grow this spiritual abundance, which in turn, you know, once we have integrated that, once we have a very strong energy field, once we have a core of love, that's when we can begin to manifest material abundance, because then we won't be dependent on the material, you know, on the physical. So that is just what's coming through now for the collective. You know, we're learning how to let go a little bit of, you know, building our security around having all of the things, you know, the physical things. We're learning how to move into a higher dimension, you know, less material and more light being. And with light, and don't necessarily mean light, I mean like lighter, less dense, you know. And it's really also this kind of concept of letting go of materialism that is kind of challenging, I feel, for our masculine energies at this point in time. It's like, you know, he's looking at this octopus, you know, this it's the feminine. It represents our feminine right now. So it's our vibrational powers that are waiting to be integrated. It's also our twin flame, you know, the for those that have a feminine twin flame. And he's not really sure, you know. He's like, it's because the feeling of the feminine is like, you know, she's so much bigger than him still. It's like, so it feels kind of challenging to the masculine when we tune into an energy that is bigger than us, you know. It's like the feminine is challenging the backbone of the masculine. It's challenging his ability to stand up straight, to actually be in alignment with the highest good of all, not just his own desires for materialism and consumerism. And this is really for all of us still, you know. We're still in this time collectively where we are working on letting go of that need for things. We are working on letting go of only feeling secure if we have money. You know, our resources are more than money. It's not really money that makes us evolve as a species, you know what I mean? It is part of it, but that's not the most important things, you know. There are other things, like for instance time, having the time to invest into ourselves, having the space to go within and not be disturbed by others. That those things are also really, really important to evolve. And so I feel like the masculine is really like battling a little bit within himself. He's battling his priorities. And I also actually feel like there is a choice point coming up here for twin flames during this Mars retrograde. You know, that Mars is going retro. Mars symbolizes our masculine energies, our egos, and it's a time to choose your timeline. You know, are you gonna commit to opening this door and starting to interact with this octopus, or are you gonna exit this room and, you know, wait another cycle until you start to awaken your feminine energies? It's really up to each individual, you know, but I feel that choice is coming up for us all, you know. Are we going to go deeper into our feminine energies, or are we going to stay more on the surface, you know, in sharpening our skills? Nothing wrong with that, you know, nothing wrong with that. But it's like staying on the surface, sharpening our skills. That is not when we are a part of building the new world, you know, because the new world is built now through energetic work, you know. It's like, and again, this really doesn't say anything about the person's value or whatever. See it more as a choice, you know. What do you want to do? What do you feel called to do? You know, listen again to your higher guidance is what I'm getting. If you look at the feminine's higher guidance, you know, we see another interesting card here. And this is really saying to the feminine, to those that are in their feminine energies, you know, don't expect too much right now from people. You know, don't expect too much from yourself, from your own masculine energies. They are still frightened by this octopus, you know, they're still frightened. We are all still frightened by our feminine. We're still frightened by the dark. We're still frightened by demons. You know, we still don't understand the thing about the spiritual war, and we still allow it to run us. We're not in our mastery yet. And so it's really, I feel, a time to be compassionate with ourselves, you know. This is really saying in reverse, it's saying, you know, let things be what they are right now. Trust that time is gonna be on our side. Allow time to pass and allow nature to kind of work through us a little bit. Again, it's bringing us back to that heart chakra, inner masculine energy. The snail, it moves slow. The snail is very slow, and it might seem as if we're just going around in circles, but it's a spiraling that's happening. Each time we get back to the same point, we have learned something more. We're a bit wiser, we're a bit older, and we can go a bit deeper. And so it's really trusting that and surrendering to that path, without feeling that we need to speed things up right now. Because and I feel that there's a lot of resistance in the masculine energy in regards to this, because our egos, they can only see what they can see, right? They only take what they already know into consideration. They're not expansive by nature. And so all our egos, all our masculine energies want to do is really to move forward, to create something from what we already are. And so when nature is saying, you are not, it's not in your benefit to create from what you are right now, our egos doesn't understand that, because they want what they want. We want materialism. Our egos want materialism because that is what we're used to. That is what we're programmed to want. And so it's a little bit of this, the masculine is still resisting. Our masculine energies is still resisting, but he's still moving though, slowly towards the feminine. And it's almost like, as this snail is moving towards the feminine, he's leaving behind him this trail of slime. And this slime is kind of like all of the old programs, that slimy behavior, that all of the old outfits, the identity, the clothing that really it was just, that clothing was just kind of like a security blanket. It wasn't really protecting us though. We're learning how to move into the heart, and it's kind of like we're being undressed. We are being undressed, and we're learning how to witness who we are when we are naked. Who are we without these identities of our society? Who are we without the surface, without our skills, our work, our glamour? What do we feel when we're in that space of complete vulnerability, of, in a sense, complete loss of control? Really, through walking this feminine path, moving into the heart, through the twin flame journey, we learn how to make that vibration into love. Not fear, not pain, not powerlessness, but love. So that when we are naked, when we are completely, without our ego in a sense, we're still love. And that is really the power of the work that many of us are doing right now. It's this opening, this blossoming of the heart. So let's look at the cards that unite here, that unite the masculine and the feminine. Because we have this really beautiful card that comes through. It's turned, in a sense, towards the feminine energy. And so this feels like the more feminine parts of our psyche. And if you look at the card, you see that this woman, she is trapped within this labyrinth. and her dress is like a rose that is about to unfold. And outside of the labyrinth, you see that there's a little rabbit with a key shaped as a heart. And so it's really, this is all telling me that once we learn how to make that core vibration, you know, the center of our being, into love, that is when we will kind of be let out of this labyrinth. That is when the feminine will be let out of her ivory tower, her separation, you know, the place where she can be safe to explore unconditionality. And so it's kind of like when we are able to hold love inside of our being at all times, when we're able to surrender to that level of trust, that's when kind of the separation period ends. And so I see that for a group of twin flames, this is quite close. You know, they are really moving into the final leg of the journey. The feminine is moving into the final leg of the journey, and she's working on materializing this unconditionality. And it's been a long journey, you know, it's been so much heartache for the feminine, because imagine being this energy that can see, you know, she can see the big picture. She could see her masculine, she could feel him, she could see that he didn't see her, but she was stuck in her tower. She couldn't do anything. That was kind of what she had to go through to learn how to find that love within. And so it is very challenging to awaken our feminine energy. It's not an easy path, because we're required to learn how to not look outside of ourselves for energy. You know, we learn to feed ourselves, energetically speaking, from within, so that we can let go of our clothing if we need to. You know, it's like we can shed the ego if we need to and move into something new. And that is what I'm feeling is, you know, that is what's coming through will be the state of the heart chakra for many twin flames. You know, it's this eternal blossoming. It's constant rejuvenation. You know, letting go of the ego regularly, the ego dying regularly, just shifting the act, the role that you play within society, you know, moving into another experience and doing that kind of fearlessly. Because the love comes from within. And so this is freedom. You know, this is freedom. This is like the sky is the limit. Here is what I'm feeling. Just so much play. Just so much. This is like the inner child just being completely ecstatic, you know. So, wow, that's really good work, twin flames, feminines, those of you who are in this group and are moving into this energy. The other card that we have here is also, I mean, it's so funny. It's so funny. I love this deck. And I feel that this is maybe more our masculine energies, you know. He's on a horse, but it's not a horse that can move forward. You know, it can just move back and forth. But you see that he's still using the whip, you know, he's still like trying to make it move forward, trying to push things into creation. You know, creation with force, not creation with love and surrender. And so our masculine energies are still in this space. You know, we're still, those programs are still kind of haunting us with their energy. And when we are not following these programs of like trying to push ourselves to move forward, trying to push ourselves to accomplish, then we feel fear. You know, it's like we're not yet able to stand still within our alignment here. there's still this addiction towards at least trying to move forward. But it's kind of like a blessing, it feels like, that we are not able to at this point, because if we were to move forward at this point, it's like we would then manifest from our core, you know, so who we are when we are completely stripped down and we have nothing. And so if that vibration is not yet love, then, you know, we would manifest the reflection of whatever that vibration is. And so if it's fear, which is probably the case for most of us, then we are actually blessed to not be able to move forward, because then we would just be manifesting more fear in our lives. And so I feel like this is a time of friction a little bit for the masculine. It's a time of, like, you know, learning how to soothe our fears. You know, we see it here. It's like tuning into the heart, the ability to observe our ego, to observe these narratives in our mind that are just based on fear, just based on the fight or flight. And this is what will help us to be able to, you know, find peace in this position. Because if you look closer, you see that there is pentagram here. And the pentagram really symbolizes, you know, the 5 elements, the ability to create from the 5 elements: earth, wind, water, fire, and spirit. This is alignment, you know, when we are in our alignment, being guided by our higher self, bringing heaven down to earth. And the 5, and in many cases also the pentagram, is often symbolized by the Hierophant in the tarot. And 2021 is the year of the Hierophant. And so our investment right now into, you know, our feminine energies is going to pay off in 2021, is what I'm getting. That's when we will really, that's when the energetic foundation of the new earth is stable enough that we can actually begin to shift into it and start to live from that place, is what I'm getting. And that's when we will see a lot of, you know, it's like the material resources will be shifting hands a little bit. It's like new people will come into power. And the people that are able to kind of like come from their heart to unite the left and the right, to, you know, make a deal with each other, to can we find the point of unity? You know, can we find the point of collaboration here that we can both benefit from? Those people that are able to unite are really the people that will end up with a lot of power and a lot of kind of influence, is what I'm feeling in the new world. Because it really is about that, you know, it really is about how can we help each other to reach our potential, you know, over and over. How can we do that? And so that is what the twin flames are working with. You know, they're working within themselves of allowing their own inner masculine and feminine to come into a place where they actually support each other and they see each other and they understand each other, and how this is helping us unfold our potential. But this is also happening in the twin flame union, you know, and it happens through the heart. It happens through conversations in the subconscious, you know. It's possible to connect to your twin through our subconscious, through the astral, and many more masculine energies are awakening to this, and they're starting to be willing to take the risk. So I hope that you're doing really good, twin flames. You know, I'm sending you a lot of love. This journey is not an easy journey, but I know that we will be able to do it together, and there really is a lot of progress. So I'm very happy and excited for the twin flame community. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.